Hi, my name is Rachel Phillips-Anderson, and I'm a licensed clinical social worker in downtown Silver Spring. I specialize in helping people who struggle with stress and anxiety. In this video, I'm going to give you some tips to manage your inner critic. Negative thoughts about ourselves are something that plagues nearly all of us, and sometimes it can get in the way of things that we want to do. The first step to dealing with our inner critic is understanding it better. Self-criticism thrives when it's unexamined, when it passes itself off as just our own authentic self-assessment. But in reality, harsh criticism is really often messages from other people or from the society at large. By really paying attention to the negative stories we have about ourselves, we can begin to get some distance from that unhelpful message that we might give ourselves. Specifically, we might want to notice what are the situations that seem to trigger the critic. Also, pay attention to the specific negative judgments that come up about yourself. And try to notice what their roots might be. Like, does this sound like something my sister used to say? Or is this the way my grandfather used to talk to me? And finally, notice what happens when you listen to those criticisms. Do they help motivate you to get things done? Or does it lead you to want to take a nap? And that can help you decide whether the self-criticism is helpful or not. After you've explored and understand your self-critic a little bit better, the second step is to actually give yourself permission to reject or ignore the criticisms when they come up. Many people want to feel better about themselves, but they also struggle to give themselves permission to let go of those harsh judgments. So many of us share a deep-seated belief that criticism is needed to motivate ourselves to improve. But there's a growing body of research that finds that self-criticism is actually associated with lower motivation and goal completion. So it really turns out that being kind to ourselves is actually more helpful in getting things done. Now, you might expect me to give you some advice about how to win an argument with your inner critic. Maybe how to convince yourself that you're really beautiful and talented and not ugly and incompetent like your inner critic would have you believe. Well, I'm not going to do that. And that's because I don't know how. I usually lose arguments with my inner critic. So instead, I'm going to try to do something different. I'm going to encourage you to be kind and loving towards yourself, even as you worry about not measuring up to your own standards or expectations. I'm going to give you an example of what that might look like. So as I make this video, I'll occasionally hear a voice in my head that'll say, "This is stupid," or "You don't have anything interesting to say." So instead of arguing with that voice, I try to focus on being compassionate to myself. I might say, "Wow, I'm really struggling with self-doubt. Gosh, that's tough. But it makes sense. It's kind of hard to put myself out there." And I try to remind myself that it's okay to go forward even if I have self-doubt, because we're all worthy of love and compassion, even if we're not perfect, even if we have flaws, and that we can be kind to ourselves even at the same time as trying to strive to be better. So once you've tried to look at yourself from a more compassionate point of view, the final step is to really focus on what you need to do to move towards your goals. You know, people will often say to me that they need to get rid of the thought that they're not good enough so that they can ask their boss for a raise or something like that. But in reality, you don't need to be 100% convinced of your worth in order to take a risk like that. Sure, it would be a lot easier if we had no self-doubt, but doubt is normal. So it's okay to just notice that self-criticism and maybe make room for it instead of trying to get rid of it altogether. So in review, the different steps that I mentioned are first to get to know your inner critic, give yourself permission to let it go, and finally, accept that you're not going to be perfect and to try to move towards your goals even if you notice that you have self-criticism. If you're interested in what I've had to say or think that I might be of help to you, give me a call and we can see if we might be a good fit working together. Thank you.